All right, today we're going to talk about a company that has been on an absolutely wild ride, NVIDIA. You know, they started out making video games look cool and somehow ended up becoming the engine behind the entire AI revolution. So the big question is, how in the world did they become one of the most valuable and, let's be honest, important companies on the planet? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's just start with this one absolutely staggering number. $4 trillion. That was NVIDIA's market cap at its peak in 2025. Now, to put that in perspective, that is more than the entire economic output of countries like the UK or India. It's a number that's almost hard to wrap your head around.
So, yeah, that's the big question, right? How did a company that was famous for making graphics cards for PC gamers become the literal foundation for modern artificial intelligence? Well, to figure that out, we've got to rewind the clock, way back.
And you know, like so many of these epic Silicon Valley stories, this one doesn't kick off in some fancy boardroom. Nope, it starts in a place you would probably never ever guess. I'm not kidding. The whole journey to that $4 trillion valuation started in a Denny's booth in San Jose. Picture this, it's 1992, and three engineers, Jensen Huang, Chris Malachowski, and Curtis Preem, are sketching out a vision. And that vision was laser-focused on one thing: building chips that could make video games look insanely realistic. By 1999, they did it. They dropped the GeForce 256, which they proudly called the world's very first GPU.
And get this, even their name was a sign of things to come. NVIDIA is this clever mix of NVIDIA, which is Latin for envy, and NV for next vision. So right from the get-go, they were signaling that they weren't just thinking about the next level in a game, they were thinking about the next level of, well, everything.
So for years, NVIDIA was the undisputed king of the gaming world. But that next vision part of their name was about to become incredibly important. They were about to pivot in a way that would unlock the secret power hidden inside the very chips they'd created.
Okay, so to really get this, we need to talk about what a GPU actually is. Think of it like this. Your computer's main brain, the CPU, is like a brilliant head chef. It can handle a few really complicated tasks at once. But a GPU, that's like a whole army of prep cooks, all doing one simple thing, like chopping onions, all at the same time, super fast. That ability to do thousands of simple things at once, that's called parallel processing. And it turns out it's perfect for a lot more than just video games.
For more than a decade, that was the GPU's life, making games look awesome. But then, in 2006, something happened. A seemingly small software innovation came along that would completely change its destiny, and with it, the future of the entire tech industry.
And that something was called CUDA. The best way to think about CUDA is as a key that unlocked the GPU. For the very first time, it let scientists and programmers talk directly to all those thousands of little cores and tell them to do things other than graphics, like crunching massive data sets or running complex simulations. All of a sudden, a gaming chip wasn't just a gaming chip anymore. It was a pocket-sized supercomputer that you could program to do almost anything.
And look, this wasn't just some cool tech for nerds. This was a genius business move. With CUDA, NVIDIA had accidentally, or maybe not so accidentally, built the perfect tool for the AI revolution that was just around the corner. Because it turns out, training AI models requires exactly that kind of insane parallel computing power their GPUs now offered.
You can literally watch their whole business model transform right before your eyes. They started out simple, selling graphics cards to gamers. Then, thanks to CUDA, they started selling these high-powered compute platforms to businesses and research labs. And now they're providing the fundamental AI infrastructure for the entire world.
And the impact on their bottom line, it's just been breathtaking. It wasn't always a straight shot up, of course. You can see that pretty nasty dip in 2022 when all of tech took a hit. But once the AI boom really kicked in, the stock just went vertical, to heights nobody thought was possible.
And if you want a number that'll really blow your mind, check this out. If you had put just $1,000 into NVIDIA's IPO back in 1999, by 2025, that investment would have been worth around $4.7 million. That's not just a good return, that's life-changing.
Okay, but here's the thing. When you're on top of the world, everybody's gunning for you. And with this kind of mind-boggling success, NVIDIA is now facing some really serious challenges that could threaten its spot at the top.
First off, you've got the competition. And the line is getting long. You've got their old rival, AMD, coming in hot in the data center space. You have the behemoth, Intel, trying to get its piece of the pie. And in the world of chip design, things move at light speed. You're only as good as your last great idea, and if you stumble, someone is right there to take your place.
And it's not just other companies they have to worry about. There are huge geopolitical risks that could mess with their supply chain, especially their reliance on foundries like TSMC. And that $4 trillion valuation we talked about? Well, that means perfection is already expected. Any tiny hint of a slowdown could send the stock tumbling. The pressure is immense.
All right, so with all that pressure coming from every direction, what's NVIDIA's game plan? What's their next vision to stay on top of the mountain?
Well, they're not putting all their eggs in one basket, that's for sure. They're diversifying and fast. AI and data centers are still the main event. That's a huge 50% chunk of their future. But they're making massive bets on other areas too. They see self-driving cars as a huge opportunity, along with robotics and a whole new world of software and services.
And when it comes to the tech itself, believe me, they are not taking their foot off the gas. Everyone in the industry is watching for their next-generation chip architecture, codenamed Blackwell. It's supposed to deliver another gigantic leap in compute power, built specifically to handle the even crazier AI models that are coming our way.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from a Denny's booth to a multi-trillion-dollar valuation. After all that, what's the single most important thing to understand about this incredible story?
The thing to remember about NVIDIA is that this isn't a story about one lucky break or one great invention. It's a story about being willing to completely reinvent yourself. They saw where the world of computing was headed, and they had the guts to pivot again and again from gaming to science and now to the absolute heart of artificial intelligence.
And all of that brings us to the big multi-trillion-dollar question. For what feels like a lifetime, NVIDIA has just kept climbing, seemingly defying gravity. The question now is, can they keep flying, or will the immense weight of all that competition and all those sky-high expectations finally bring them back down to earth?